Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mackenzie Richmond. All of us here at Chicago This Week are excited to bring you today's stories. We typically report on news happening here in Chicago and around the country. Today, we're doing something a little different. They do this work quietly, without praise and recognition. Today, we want to change that and honor the work they do. We begin with Hometown Heroes, Kids Off the Block. Here's Elise Devlin.
Here in Millennium Park is where one of 5 fatal shootings that were recorded this past weekend happened after nearly 33 people were shot. Although this long-standing issue has been continuing, I caught up with a neighborhood group on the south side of the city that has been actively fighting against it.
For 19 years, kids of all ages have been gathering together in Roseland, a neighborhood in Chicago's far south side, to discuss something they share in common, the hope to put a stop to gun violence.
The next thing I noticed, there were kids coming to my door. I had no idea who they were. And they wanted help. They were homeless kids. They were kids who wanted to go back to school. They were kids who wanted to get out of gangs. And so in a span of almost 3 months, there were 75 kids in my apartment, day and night. So I realized the need was great, and that's how Kids Off the Block started.
Showing your appreciation for other people.
Just recently, the neighborhood group has been able to combine their ideas with research.
Oftentimes with research, those who are most affected by the problem, gun violence, are not part of the research, and we wanted to really engage young people in that research process. We also wanted to get them thinking about how to create change.
To create this change, different perspectives like Ashley Wolf's, a critical care doctor that treats victims of gun violence every day, have been a part of the conversation.
Although I love my job, I would love to do less of it. I would love to never take care of a kid injured by gun violence ever again. We can sit in our offices and talk about it, but I have learned so much more interacting with youth who have a firsthand knowledge and experience with gun violence. And so that's why we're here, and that's our goal, is to decrease gun violence, listen to the youth whose lived experience it is, and really amplify their voices and implement their ideas for change.
The change sparking from Kids Off the Block has been seen firsthand by those voices in the community, like Veronica Smith.
To have this organization, it really helps. It helps a lot of people, and a lot of people become successful when they leave out of here.
And Malcolm Russell.
Gun violence in our community really happened from like people in our age group, because like all my friends, they into it, and then family members, they into it too. So like just coming here, it'll tell people like we don't need to do that. We just have something positive to do. Just come up here and feel like a safe zone.
This next group imagines a healthy, safe, and thriving Inglewood community. So they built a home called the Imagination House. That's where they offer health and wellness opportunities to plant and grow food. They lead efforts to clean up the community. They have enrichment programs for kids and even book clubs and summer camps. We Grow Chicago is our next hometown hero. Here's Taylor Woods.
Imagine Inglewood If is making learning fun through TikTok and community programs, but this wouldn't be possible without one of its leaders.
I sometimes wake up and am so grateful that I'm able to do this work.
A full circle moment for Michelle, since she used to attend these same programs.
I think in order to do this work, it comes from a genuine place. It comes from a rooted place, because I'm from here, right? I'm not parachuting in. So when I'm helping young people, I'm helping families, I'm thinking of myself as a child. I'm thinking of my family. What do we need? What would have made our lives better?
It's a community collaborative bringing peace and unity at its Peace Campus. Community members take pride in their campus and hold events like Unity Day to beautify their garden. These handprints and hearts represents members of the community who utilize this garden.
The Peace Campus was created and really developed by I Grow Chicago. However, that organization made a bit of a transition from I Grow to We Grow last year.
Across the street is the Peace House, where residents are given meals.
The walk-ups come in and they get a meal and they get a sandwich, and then the ones we deliver to get warm meals.
Ms. Swan started as a volunteer and enjoys making a difference by passing out meals.
So my favorite thing is working here is to see the smiles on the kids' face, the smiles on the seniors when they come over. The smiles on my coworkers, knowing that they've been able to do something.
These two ladies are valued by their community In Inglewood, I'm Taylor Woods, Chicago This Week.
Chicago This Week reporter Stephanie Kafua joins me now in the studio to introduce this next story. Stephanie, I understand this next group got started to combat the 20-year life expectancy gap between affluent communities and low-income communities, right?
That's right, Mackenzie. A recent study found that here in Chicago, residents in Streeterville live to be about 90 years old, while residents of Englewood die on average at around 60 years old. That's the largest life expectancy divide in the United States. That's where our next hometown heroes, Healthy Hood, comes in.
I'm the niece of Rudy Lozano, who was assassinated in 1983. He was essential in the election of Mayor Harold Washington, the first African-American mayor of Chicago. My father is Reverend Slim Coleman, who is a Chicago legend in activism as well. He was also a part of the Harold Washington campaign, as well as a member of the Rainbow Coalition with Fred Hampton and the Chicago chapter of the Black Panther Party. Those are my roots. That's my bloodline.
Healthy Hood operates in Pilsen's Lincoln United Methodist Church, where Tanya's mother serves as the pastor. While Healthy Hood initially focused on physical wellness for the community, it has since expanded to incorporate spiritual, mental, and other forms of wellness.
I started to realize, like, if I was really going to be able to impact, the possibility of a healthy lifestyle for my people, then I was going to have to be more comprehensive.
Today, I'm going to take you on a day in the life of a person who's vaccinated.
Because there were so many things because of systemic racism and oppression and structural racism, right, that were causing people to be sick.
Tanya's newest project, Holy Ground, uses the worshiping space upstairs. Tanya shares that the organization is constantly evolving to meet the current needs of the community.
We can see very clearly what the needs are, the immediate needs. And that's how programs have been established since the beginning of Healthy Hood. For example, the free food program boarded up their grocery stores. And then Lori Lightfoot lifted up the bridges on us so we couldn't go to the white neighborhoods to get groceries. And so we started the free food program. We saw that mental health was a huge thing in our community. The suicide rates were going up. A lot of it had to do with how families were being separated through deportation. And we needed mental health for our community.
Reporting from Chicago's Pilsen Neighborhood, I'm Stephanie Kafua, Medill Reports.
Are you noticing a theme yet? Many of the groups we mentioned are hoping to improve the health and lifestyle of people in certain communities. Eating healthy, for example, can be a huge challenge when you have to take a train and then the bus simply to get to the nearest grocery store. According to this next group, all you need is yourself to get up and exercise. Men Run These Streets are hometown heroes. Here's Rafael Hipos.
Good morning. Get out them cars, let's warm it up.
On Saturday morning, more than 24 people came together in Jackson Park to go on a run along the Chicago Lakefront Trail. Terrence Lyles is the founder and president of Men Run These Streets, an organization that seeks to encourage members of the Black community to take up running. The main goals of MRDS is to help Black men develop healthier habits and to increase Black representation in long-distance running. A 2020 survey by Running USA said that only 3% of all US runners are Black.
So I created the organization to increase those numbers, to get Black men more healthy, to consider the long distance sport, whereas it's just not just the long distance running, but we were intending on the weight loss aspect, the getting healthy, the lowering the blood pressure, so it has a health component with it as well.
While initially conceived as a group aimed at men, women are welcome to join runs and train with them. On this particular day, many members were running a 9-mile-long route as part of their training for this year's Chicago Marathon, though some people did shorter runs.
We got people that walk, run, we have people that run slower, faster, and you could glean from them knowledge and wisdom to help you with your running and then get started.
The CDC says that Black people are at higher risks of having diabetes or high blood pressure compared to other people of the same age. Many members credit MRDS with helping them develop healthier lifestyles.
The most important thing is to take care of your health. And when you focus on your health, I remember I used to go to the doctor and my numbers were terrible. If it weren't for running, I probably wouldn't even be alive today.
Lyles is currently raising funds for a program that will pair Englewood youth with MRDS members who will provide them with mentorship and get them into running.
I think it'll be a good outlet to get our youth involved, to give them something to do, to relieve stress, to give them an activity that will be positive and enriching in their lives.
Next month, MRDS and Black Chicago runners will be hosting a Father's Day run to celebrate the life of George Floyd, who was killed in 2020. Aside from the Chicago Marathon in October, the members of MRDS are also training for the half marathon next June. Anyone who wants to train with the group is welcome to reach out and join them on one of their runs. From Chicago's Lakefront Trail, this has been Rafael Hipos.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. After the break, we'll introduce you to more amazing Chicagoans, including a powerful woman in business and a man inspiring kids through poetry. Hometown Heroes, we'll be right back.
At Northwestern, we're wildcats in every way.
Cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
She's been the CEO of a $10 billion business and written books about success, but her passion is advocating for equity and inclusion of women in technology. Our next hometown hero is Janet Foughty. Here's Winnie Shu.
Joining me today is one of the top female leaders from Chicago, Janet Foughty, Executive Chair of the Board of Deloitte US and former Chair and CEO of Deloitte Consulting. She recently published the book, Arrive and Thrive, 7 Impactful Practices for Women Navigating Leadership. Thanks for joining us today, Janet.
Great to be here with you today, Winnie.
So, just to start off, as a female leader, you have inspired and encouraged so many young females. Why did you decide to write this book?
So my co-authors from Simmons University and I decided to write this book because we really felt that there frankly weren't enough women thriving in leadership. And we wanted to create a real honest, genuine, direct conversation with women in and around how fabulous they are, the great things they can do, and frankly give them good tools, tips, and techniques for how to absolutely be wildly successful and thrive in leadership.
So in terms of females in leadership, why is it so important that more women are taking on leadership roles?
So it's well, I think, understood and studied at this point that the more diverse teams you have, the more creative your outcomes and outputs are, the better ideas you come up with, the more people that you sort of invite into the conversation, the better the outcomes. So we felt really strongly that an emphasis on women in that conversation can create really differentiated outcomes for organizations who have more women in their leadership ranks. The level of complexity of the issues that business leaders are facing today, from disrupted supply chains to digital transformation to a really changing workforce, the topics are so complex. The more good brains you have, the better.
Thriving as a female leader is definitely not an easy thing to do. How has the pandemic impacted working women?
So the pandemic has had a really big impact on working women. The role as primary caregiver, which is a role that women traditionally play, I think was really emphasized during the pandemic. What we saw in the pandemic is women were, when you think about how much time people were stepping back from work to take care of their families, women were taking 4 times more time off than men were to care for their families. So a really significant step back for women in terms of their progression during the pandemic.
And beyond business, you actually serve leadership roles at nonprofits as well. What motivates you?
Equity is absolutely a theme that runs through how I think about the world. In particular, I spend a lot of my personal energy in and around women and girls. And that is in the business community. I have the privilege of belonging to the Chicago Network, which is an organization that is focused on women who already have arrived in leadership. I sit on the board of Catalyst, which is an amazing nonprofit focused on women actually around the globe. And then nearest and dearest to my heart, I focus on women and health, and I'm the chair of the board of an organization called Bright Pink, which is focused on young women's breast and ovarian health with a specific lens in and around equity.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Janet, and thanks for empowering our community.
Chicago This Week's Chantel Rupp is with me in the studio to introduce this next story. Many of us have heard of the International Latino Cultural Center of Chicago, but most of us don't know how it was started. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Mackenzie. So the group was born in the mind of one man from Mexico. He was a lawyer in his native country, but had to take a job in the restaurant industry when he moved to Chicago many years ago. As a new immigrant, he was treated so poorly, he decided to make a change. Pepe Vargas is a hometown hero. When Pepe Vargas emigrated from Mexico to Chicago in the 1980s, he quickly recognized in his first job how differently Latinos were treated in American society.
Coming to Chicago without speaking the language, without money, I ended up working in a restaurant as a busboy. It gave me the opportunity to see what discrimination is. Nobody told me discrimination is by the book. I suffered that.
So Vargas decided to found an organization to change that stigma, and the International Latino Cultural Center of Chicago was born. The center is a pan-Latino nonprofit organization that's dedicated to promoting and increasing awareness of the Latino experience through art and culture. The center holds an annual film festival highlighting prominent Latino cinematographers, but that's not all the organization offers.
There's music, visual arts, theater.
You can usually tell when it's someone's first time.
The culinary arts. All of these are really weapons that we can fight this war of segregation, stereotypes, discrimination, racism, and really get to a point that we say, well, this is who we are.
With over 600 million Latinos globally represented in over 24 different countries, Vargas says the center embraces the rich diversity that makes up this community.
Community of many nations, many languages, many races, so we celebrate the difference.
Being a part of something that is creating a really diverse community is something that's very exciting. And I think the work that Pepe has been doing for this whole time that he's been the director of the Cultural Center and of the Film Festival, bringing art and music and film and culture to Chicago, sharing it widely and sharing it with our audience here and around the world. It's really exciting.
We hope you're getting inspired by these amazing stories. Our special tribute to hometown heroes continues after this short break.
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
Welcome back. If you know anything about education in Chicago, then you've heard of our next guest. She's the long-running principal of Whitney Young Magnet High School, and after 3 decades of leading the Dolphins through academic and athletic success, she is retiring. Joyce Kenner is a hometown hero. Here's Bailey Eichner.
Dr. Joyce Kenner joins me in the studio. Joyce, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Whitney Young is one of the most prestigious schools in not only Chicago, but in the nation.
World.
In the world.
Yes, right.
In the world. With alum like Michelle Obama, what is it like to see a Whitney Young alum doing just amazing things and making an impact in the world?
Yeah, I've traveled the world to Japan, to Dubai,
And my recent trip to Dubai, I had a Whitney Young t-shirt on, and a person stopped and said, "Oh my God, how are you affiliated with Whitney Young?" And I'm like, I'm in Dubai, and they still know about Whitney Young. It's truly been an honor for me to serve in the capacity as principal for 27 years, been at the school for 5 years as an assistant principal. Just an honor to do this work with these type of students, these very bright students, very energetic, focused academically, and involved students. It's just been an honor.
How do you keep yourself in awe of doing your dream job?
Well, I'm motivated intrinsically. And I just believe that every single day these young people need me regardless of their intellect. They're still young children. They need some guidance, and I have always had the energy to do it. I'm a former college cheerleader. I just believe that students need to see that energy all of the time. Even if we have an incident at the school and it has impacted our school population, they need to see a strong leader in front of them. And so that is what I've tried to convey to our students since I've been at Whitney Young.
How did you keep yourself poised through the highs and lows throughout your career?
I just stayed focused, you know, and I stayed focused on children first, period. What was important to me was to make sure that I was making an impact for students in front of me. And so that has kept me energized. The students keep me energized. They keep me involved. I am one of the very few principals that continue to support their kids outside of the school. And so last night, for example, I went to the Cubs game. It was freezing, but our softball team was being honored. The kids wanted me to be there, and so I'm there. Didn't get home until 9:30 or whatever the case may have been. But the students see me and know that I do care because I'm involved in their extracurricular activities beyond the academics.
How has family influenced your tenure at Whitney Young and beyond?
So my parents my mother was 18 years old, my father was 20, and you know, they have been the support mechanism for our family. My mother is a very, very hard worker. She is still living. My father passed away, but my mother was integral in terms of making sure that we had the proper education, we were surrounded by the proper people, we had character and high integrity, and we just continue on. My mother's 85 years old and still cuts an acre of grass by herself on a riding lawnmower. And so we've always been hard workers.
And I want to thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Those of us who have been lucky enough to travel know how wonderful it can be. You get to relax, see and experience new people and places, but more importantly, you learn that the world is very different outside your community. Many lower income kids don't get the chance to travel. Many never leave their neighborhoods, let alone their state or country. One group works to change that. Here are Hometown Heroes Chicago-Austin Youth Travel Adventures. Amber Cooper has more.
For most kids in the city, the farthest they've gone is either the red or blue line, but an organization here on the west side is helping them expand their horizons.
An Austin grandmother is doing everything she can to make a difference in her community.
Chicago-Austin Youth Travel Adventure, CATA, which is what we call it for short, is a cultural immersion where we get youth out of their normal environment, out of the community, into other parts of Chicago, first of all, so then they can learn about cultures worldwide.
Dyer lost her grandson to gun violence, and this incident helped her realize that she needed to take action.
My grandson was murdered 3 blocks from where we sit right now. He had gone to a house party, and he, you know, back to sensitivity, before he even got there, someone had an argument about playing a song.
Dyer used her previous travel knowledge and the pain from losing a loved one to create a program that provides opportunities for others.
I'm a retired police officer, and I've served the community in the western suburbs for almost 30 years. And I know the importance of making a difference in a child's life is to take them out of the community they're accustomed to and really let them see the world.
Many teens in Austin have never traveled outside of their neighborhood, but this August, they will get the chance to go to Africa.
We are going to Ghana, West Africa, August 6th through the 19th. And so right now we have 10 youth from the Austin community that are going on that journey.
Dyer is hands-on with the program and a respected member in the community.
Crystal Dyer is someone that is unique. I'll say that from my heart. She runs this business and this organization like she would run her family, which she has run her family, and she makes you a part of that family.
Chicago Austin Youth Travel offers a variety of trainings and workshops to show kids that there's more to the world than the violence around them.
Instead of making that split-second bad decision, they can say, well, hold it, wait a minute, I know I got another option.
We're going to continue honoring educators. In this next story, an Oak Park and River Forest High School teacher had a breakthrough moment. He changed the rules of an assignment, and suddenly a student who once had the weakest grades rose to the top of the class when he got the opportunity to share his poetry. Peter Kahn is a hometown hero. Here's Hannah Shapiro.
Everyone knows Mr. Kahn.
He's one of my favorite people.
If it wasn't for PK, I would have never finished high school.
Conqueror, Columbus, Ohio, home of the Buckons. I had bad experiences with poetry in high school and college. So I did the obligatory unit, and it was just the thing I least enjoyed teaching during the school year. So I brought in a former student who liked poetry and was a good poet. He mentioned Poetry Slam, and they asked if we could try one. And the kid with the lowest grade in both my sophomore English classes won the slam. And that's when I had the epiphany, I've got to rethink how I do this. And this could be something quite beautiful and helpful with my most disengaged students. And the rest is history.
I was in English class, 2008, and he came in there and he said, hey, right, how was your summer? And I was homeless at the time. So I told him, like, my summer is like a stack of dominoes because every time I get back up, it'll fall right back over. And he was like, oh, you're gonna spoken word.
What if when metal's against skin, it makes no noise?
Poetry was a way for me to kind of heal through some things.
PK taught me how to sort of vent instead of holding stuff in.
One of the things that's so great about poetry is you can have this really cathartic experience of just getting everything out, and then you can have this really artistic and constructive experience of the editing, right? And then you have this affirming experience of the performance. And I think for me, those three things in combination made spoken word kind of the perfect place for me in high school.
First, they were repelled by it, right? Because it combines something that they've had negative experiences with typically, along with public speaking, which terrifies most people. But once they've done it and they've got up and they've shared something, they've experienced empathy and they've experienced seeing people look at them a little bit differently in a positive way.
Knowing he's about to retire, he changed so many people's lives with words, with poetry.
I hope my legacy is that I've shown how valuable this is to the institution and that it is ingrained, and that whoever replaces me, hopefully an alumnus, will continue to grow it.
He's been doing this for 30 years, and there are 900 students a year who all have a moment of impact. And then for some of us, and a great number of us, we look back and we go, man, high school wouldn't have been survivable without Pete and spoken word.
Thank you so much for watching today's show. I hope you were just as inspired as I was learning about these local heroes. We'll leave you with a list of websites of today's groups. Feel free to visit them to learn more or even help out. Have a great day, everybody.